and your family. TDC Financial Services, where money is made easy.
Good morning, and welcome to another edition of Voices right here on WinFM 98.9. Good morning to all the hardworking good people out there. And today is another Friday. We have made it throughout the week. So you ought to be grateful, you ought to give thanks for life, and you ought to be, grateful for this opportunity. And I say opportunity because so many persons did not make it to see Friday. So let us be grateful and let us be happy that we were able to make it to Friday. So yes, good morning to all our listeners. Good morning to our first time and usual listeners. And welcome to Voices right here on WinFM 98.9. I am your host for today, Devon Cornelius. Today we're going to have a very good discussion for our first hour and of course for our second hour. And as per usual, we will be welcoming your calls, and so feel free to call us and share your views and opinions on matters happening here and affecting you in St. Kitts and Nevis. So we will open the phone lines just later on in the program to entertain your calls and for you to be part of the discussion. Now, what I wanted to talk about firstly this morning, was the COVID-19 situation around the world. Even though many persons have been talking about COVID-19 since the onset in late February, it's still alarming, and countries are grappling rather with the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Brazil has just about 175,000 deaths from this deadly virus. You have Brazil recording, I think, 6.4 million cases. However, they saw a recovery of about 5 million cases. But let us not forget that 175,000 persons have died. They have families, they have friends, loved ones. And so people are still hurting. You have right there in Florida in the United States, they just topped about 1 million cases in Florida alone. Florida alone has about 1 million cases with close to 19,000 deaths. And so we heard the announcement of the COVID-19 vaccine, and I think the UK was the first country to approve the vaccine for their people. And so by early next year, they would start distributing the vaccine. But the question I asked quite some time ago is the question I will ask again. Do you think that the vaccine means the end of the pandemic? That is the question that I guess I'm not the only one who's asking that question. So many other persons are asking that question. But does it mean the end of the coronavirus pandemic? Does it mean that everything is going to be safe? Because you're going to have those persons who they are not want to, they're not going to want to take the virus, not the vaccine, sorry. And they won't feel, they don't feel that the vaccine is safe. And so, which is fair. I mean, some persons are going to be a bit hesitant to take in the vaccine. But again, does it mean the end? So, yes, these are some of the things that are happening. And yes, it's COVID-19, but sometimes you really have to, talk about it and let persons understand the seriousness of the pandemic, of the virus. Because I don't think persons understand the seriousness. As I was listening to the news right there in Rio de Janeiro, persons are still treating COVID-19 as something that is not deadly and something that is not real. The reporter said that the beaches are flooded every day. The bars, the restaurants are flooded. There was even a comment from someone who said, "We are not afraid of the virus. We are not afraid of the virus, but until you are hospitalized and in the ICU, you will realize then, oh well, okay, this virus is something that is serious and we can't really play around with this thing." But persons in Brazil, and let me say Brazil as a whole, generally, they're taking the pandemic very lightly, in my opinion. From listening to the news and doing some research and looking at different news agencies around the world, the population over there, they're treating the pandemic as something that is a little flu that's coming around, and we ain't gonna worry too much about that because it's not a big deal. I think persons are looking at the recovery rate and they're saying, well, persons are recovering, so I'm not afraid if I catch the virus. I'm not afraid if I catch the virus. You have people in those bigger countries where the risk is significantly higher. One would offer a face mask to someone, and they would deny it. And they would say, no, I'm not going to wear any mask. Right now in the USA, there are persons marching against wearing masks. And they're marching against lockdowns, and they're marching against social distancing and all of the measures put in place to protect them from the virus. And so again, it begs the question, when will this pandemic end? When will this virus go away? Of course, it's not going to be here forever, but it begs the question when. And so there's a race around the world for countries to acquire this vaccine. Again, the United Kingdom, they have approved the vaccine and they have dubbed it as something that is safe, and so they will begin their distribution. And other countries have made down payments, and other countries are doing and putting in place the necessary framework, necessary measures and steps to make sure that their population get this vaccine. Of course, in the UK, they said that it will be prioritized and for persons who need it most. So you have the elderly and those persons who work in the front line. So the front line workers would definitely be part of those persons who get access to the vaccine first, which is fair because they are the first point of contact. The name says it all, frontline workers. So yes, this is what is, happening around the world, and it is something that we, let me not say relate to, but we have had our own cases here, 22 cases. Fortunately, no deaths and no serious hospitalization. But let us still be on our guard and let us still, play our part in protecting ourselves from the pandemic. Having conversations with other people, you would often hear the conversation that, well, the corona ain't here, so I ain't wearing the mask, I ain't doing this. But don't wait until it gets here to be serious. Don't wait until you hear someone dies from the pandemic in St. Kitts and Nevis to take it serious. Take it serious now. Continue to do your research about the virus. Continue to protect yourself. If you're going to be in a public space and if you're going to be in a public space, wear your mask. Simple as that. Simple as that. I'm not going to try to put it as nicely as possible. If you're going to be in a public space, wear your mask and practice all of the protocols and measures that were put in place by our health authorities. But COVID-19 is not the only thing that is happening in our region and across the world. There are so many other things that are happening. Just recently, we celebrated the International Day for the Abolition of Slavery. The day before that, we had the World AIDS Day, where the world as a whole, they kind of shifted their focus a bit. Because, since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, the world has placed all of its attention, all of its human resource and financial resource on finding a solution to this problem, the COVID-19 pandemic. And so for a short period, the world focused its attention once again on the world on AIDS, on World AIDS Day, which was on December 1st. And so the pandemic lost a bit of attention there for a moment. But as that World AIDS Day came around, some alarming statistics and some alarming figures, from different countries were going around. And when the pandemic came, as I said before, everyone was focusing on the pandemic, forgetting that persons are still dying from other diseases. Persons are still dying from other sicknesses. Persons are still dying from cancer, AIDS, non-communicable diseases. And so even though, yes, we should be focusing on COVID-19 to find a cure, to find a vaccine, and to put in place protocols and measures to safeguard our population, we should definitely not forget about the other illnesses that continue to plague our population. We should definitely not forget about those things. So yes, again, it's not only COVID-19, it's not only people dying from COVID-19 and economy shutting down, but other things are happening around the world. So as we prepare to open the phone lines and take your calls, where you can call in and be a part of the discussion, or you can start a discussion. You can speak about something that has affected you, or something that you would like to just speak about. If you want to congratulate a good initiative that was done in your community, in your area, you call in and you voice your opinion right here on Voices. We are going to take a break, and when we come back, we will open the phone lines to entertain your calls.
Hello?
Jean, every time I call you, it's always about something good.
What going on?
Well, the TDC retail stores in St. Kitts and Nevis are at it again. Their new stocks have arrived.
Really?
Yes, new furniture, printers, toys, appliances, electronics, housewares, even decorations, and so much more. New is in.
So, girl Betty, when we going?
You know me, I don't miss a beat when it comes to TDC. I'm getting ready to go to TDC Automotive, the Business Center, and the Home and Building Depot now. And next week, we're definitely going over to CDS Nevis to see what they have over there too.
Betty, me I'm here. Betty, you gone?
Every day, your immune system is compromised. You use up vitamin C quickly and even faster with stress and cold. Burst back into life with Halib Orange. Burst back into health with 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C, as much as in 12 oranges. Each effervescent tablet is bursting with fresh fruit flavor. Sparkling orange, lemon and sugar-free blackcurrant, also suitable for diabetics. Health never tasted so good. Halib Orange, bursting with flavor, bursting with health.
Yes, welcome back to Voices right here on 1FM 98.9. I'm your host, Yvonne Cornelius, and the phone lines are open. We are taking your calls to have a very interesting discussion. You know, I like to have open discussions because I like to hear from the people. I find too many times that we don't know what's happening in our communities, and we don't hear from the regular man. We don't hear from the guy from down the street from by the bar. So I like to have open discussions to hear from our people, to hear what's on your mind. Of course, when you call, you'll be respectful and you respect the views of others. But I like to hear, the views and opinions of others so that we could have a very fruitful discussion. Just the other day, the day that they recognized those persons who have disabilities, or those persons who are disabled, and it was a very interesting discussion I heard amongst a few persons the other day, and even on other social media platforms, Facebook, WhatsApp, YouTube, and other social media platforms. And some persons were highlighting the importance of appreciating, or let me not say the importance, but it is not good when we disregard those persons who have a disability, or those persons who are disabled, whether it be that they are visually impaired, blind, or they lost their hearing, or they lost a foot or an arm or something like that. Persons who may not be able to walk. And sometimes when we look at them, we may say, well, because they can't walk, they can't do anything at all. Because they can't see, they can't do anything at all. Because they can't hear, they can't do anything at all. And you often see persons within our society look down on persons who are disabled. And even when those disabled persons go out to look a job, go out to, try to get something for themselves, the employers, all they look at is the disability. Well, I don't think you could offer much to this business. I don't think you could do much to this business because, you have your disability, you're disabled, and so I don't think you will be able to add. But there's so many persons around the world who are disabled or who have some sort of disability, and they are contributing significantly to the growth and development of businesses all around the world, even more than persons who are not disabled and persons who are dubbed normal by society. And so we should not say that those persons who are disabled, they can't do anything, or they can't add to the business, or their impact is not significant. Their impact is not significant. That is what some persons have said. And, as we're talking about, as we spoke about earlier with the COVID-19 situation, and not just focusing, I don't want to focus too much about on the deaths and the cases, but the economies around the Caribbean and around the world. Persons are struggling, and that is the fact. Persons are struggling. There are some persons who have not worked since March or late February. And it begs the question, how are they surviving? How are these people making a living? How they get to pay their bills? How they get to put food on the table for their family? How do they provide for their families? It begs that question. And so we saw governments across the region, across the world, they implemented stimulus packages, they implemented social programs to assist their population. In some cases, it was not enough. Over there in St. Lucia, the Prime Minister said that, St. Lucia has exhausted all of its funds, and we're not in a position to provide much support to those persons who were laid off as a result of the pandemic, loss of business in their respective places of work. And so governments responded, but in some cases, it was not sufficient. There was some back and forth over there in Antigua and Barbuda with some persons who were not paid last month by the government. The government is saying that is not the case. The citizens are saying is yes. I remember I called a friend over there in Antigua and they were saying that is not true. They were paid. They were paid. So the fact of the matter is that people are struggling. People are really, really struggling. And we should not try to hide that fact. It is the truth. It is the fact. People are struggling. When you look at other countries and when you look at other people, you wonder, boy, I wonder how they're making it. We probably have some family somewhere in the United States or in the United Kingdom who they have not worked in a while. And they have been home. They have not been making an income. And so it begs the question, how are these people surviving? How are they doing? What are our Caribbean governments doing to respond to this pandemic? What is the economic recovery plan? I remember one time a question like that was asked, and the answer was when the borders open. The border. It's craziness. I mean, many persons were looking forward to the reopening of borders, not just here, but in across the region. Antiguans were looking forward to the reopening of their borders. But the reopening of the borders doesn't necessarily mean that all persons would go back out to work. Because remember, we are a tourist destination, and we depend heavily, of course, on tourism. That is our bread and butter. That is where our Caribbean governments make most of their revenue. And the pandemic disrupted commercial travel. Persons stopped traveling because of the protocols that were put in place. You have to wear your mask. You have to socially distance yourself. You have to, physically distance yourself. And these were some of the protocols that were put in place. And so it caused a negative impact on travel, whether it be travel by air or travel by sea. And so persons on a whole stopped traveling from the United States. And so even though the borders are open and you're going to have one or two persons coming in, it is not going to be a significant number like before, prior to COVID-19. It's not going to be a significant number. And so the answer to reviving the economy is not the reopening of the borders, or should not just be the reopening of the borders. We should be looking around to see what our Caribbean governments are doing to bring in more revenue, whether we diversify from tourism, or we invest more in the agricultural sector, we invest more in sports tourism or health tourism or education. But just saying the borders will be open and so we're going to see how it goes, that should never be the case, because once those countries are suffering, then we are going to suffer too. If they don't recover, then it's pretty much the same down here, because that is where our people come from. That is where they come here to spend their money. They come from the UK, they come from the US, they come from Europe, they come from China, they come from all over the world. And they come right here in the beautiful Caribbean to spend their money. And so if they don't come, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? You look across the region and so many persons were employed in the tourism and hospitality industry. In the tourism industry, so many persons in the hotel, taxi, vendors, and they were depending heavily on tourism and the monies that were being brought in through tourism. But now that there has been a halt and a complete shutdown, a collapse basically of the tourism industry. You're seeing a gradual increase in, persons coming back in, but there was a complete collapse. And so it begs the questions, well, how are they doing? What about the man who spent 20 years working in the tourism industry, just built his house, just buy his car? How is he doing? He hasn't worked since March. Yes, he received a stimulus package from his government. But how is he making out with his children and his family? How is he making out? And so, if you are in a position to lend a helping hand to someone, you can do so. At the same time, you may very well need the help. You may very well need the help. And so these are some of the things that we want to know. We want to know what's happening. It's not just the deaths. It's not just the cases where people are dropping like flies and the hospitals are being overwhelmed. While I was listening to the news over there in Brazil, the doctor said, we have doctors who are in ICU now. They are sick. Our nurses are sick. Our doctors are sick. So the nurses and doctors are sick, and the regular man on the street is sick. How do you solve this issue? You have a situation where you have more doctors on the ward sick than regular persons. Because persons are not taking the pandemic seriously. They are not taking the pandemic seriously, and we're looking at this thing that, well, it's a flu, and in a few months it's going to be gone. Honestly, when the coronavirus came in March, I said, man, by July this thing gone. By July we have no corona and everything is safe. Everything is safe. Most persons felt that way as well. I don't think I'm the only one who thought that the pandemic would have been gone by September, July, around that time. August. But we are in December and we're heading into 2020 where the pandemic is still here. It does not mean that we can't have a good Christmas. It does not mean that we can't have a good year. But as we're talking about Christmas, it begs another question. How is Christmas, or how will Christmas be like, or what will Christmas be like during a pandemic? During the COVID-19 pandemic. We just celebrated Thanksgiving. How was that? There were some alarming figures that came out of the United States where just after celebrating Thanksgiving, the numbers of positive cases fluctuated and went literally through the roof. And so are we just celebrating Thanksgiving, or are we just going to celebrate Christmas like we did last year or the year before? Are we going to try something new? Are we going to adhere to the protocols? And instead of inviting everybody from all over the place, what about just you and your family? Yeah, you may have some persons who live alone or just live with their husband or their wife or the daughter or their son or something like that. But we got to find creative ways. We have to find, creative ways to continue to celebrate Christmas. We can't allow the COVID-19 pandemic to throw off Christmas. We still have to celebrate our Christmas. So it begs the question, what will Christmas be like in September? I'm saying September. What will Christmas be like in December? What will Christmas be like in December? How will the families right here in St. Kitts and Nevis and across the region celebrate Christmas this year? How will we do it? I guess some families are already making changes to their household. They're already putting in place the necessary protocols to make sure that they safeguard themselves from the pandemic. We have no calls, so we're just going to take a short break and we're going to return. We'll break at 12 o'clock for the news and we'll be back at 12:30.
Hey, the holidays coming. You hear? The holidays coming. Get ready for the holidays with TDC Home and Building Depots on Friday 4th and Saturday 5th December. Shop in store and get a different discount every hour on the hour, up to 30% in savings. Plus, if you are at the cashier and the buzzer goes off, you get an additional 5% off. Don't wait until the savings are all gone. Shop this weekend at the TDC Home and Building Depots because TDC is Christmas. Terms and conditions apply. See stores for details.
Yes, welcome back to Voices right here on WinFM 98.9. I'm your host, Devon Conyers. And as we wrap up for the news at 12, we'll break out news at 12 o'clock for the news, and we will return at 12:30. We are just continuing this discussion, about all that has been happening around the world, how economies have been shattered. Economies have been shattered from the pandemic. Cases continue to rise. Persons continue to die from the deadly virus. And as we head into the busy Christmas season, I think the Christmas season is going to be very busy. It's going to be very, very busy, notwithstanding what's happening around the world. I think persons are still going to go out in the numbers and do their Christmas shopping. After all, we have 2 VAT days coming up, December 18 and December 19. So persons are going to go out and persons are going to do their shopping. So we have a busy Christmas season coming up. And not just here, but all across the world, persons are preparing for this busy Christmas season ahead. But what will we do differently for Christmas this season? What will we do differently for Christmas this season? Are we going to make sure that we follow the protocols? And maybe not so much us, not saying that we should not, because, we don't have any active cases or we have not had any community spread in our country. But for those bigger countries, we should really be monitoring them and seeing, what they're doing, because we depend on them. We depend on the people who come from those countries to spend their money with us. And so how will they manage the Christmas season coming up? I think some countries did a poor job with the Thanksgiving. We have our first call. Good morning. We seem to have lost that call. Call us. You can call us back right here on Voices as we wrap up at 12 for the news. And the caller is back. Good morning, caller. You're on Voices.
Good morning. Hello?
Yes, good morning, caller. You're on Voices.
Okay, returning to your questions, the Christmas thing, the Christmas Day thing, me to specialize in that still, as man. Me really dig that they still, but appreciate it for people who defending it as much. But the best thing I think people should do right now, he had something going around with the commissioner them and the police saying, well, promoters should cancel certain actions and big events, etc. And it turned up a lot of people, like heart, head, whatever,
Yeah.
Like making people feel like, yeah. But I sit down and I read into certain people still who they deal with business. I'm a businessman also. I get affected by that still because I never dance and so I go out and I try to make the money still. But at the end of the day, I just say, watch here, we ain't lose life. According to them, they're protecting life. We know what's going on. Just let us see it out and play what we get what we ain't get, we give thanks still. And let us start the year still. 2021 come in, we just give thanks for life and just move forward. You know what I mean? Because we don't know what will happen. Still. So, you know, a lot of people heads up there, irritated, but at the end of the day, I tell you, man, just money we going out there to make. Money still can bring life. You know, so sometimes we just take a good person to reason for them to understand it still, because, yeah, everybody got their bills to pay, everybody got things to do, everybody want to buy a gift, etc. But if 1 year we ain't get to do that, I don't think the opponent should get upset. You know what I mean? Everybody got somebody got a girlfriend, the wife, etc. You ain't get something this year. You don't know what's going on. If you get upset, I think that you really love. The loss. You should know what's going on. If the family, they ain't nothing. You can't buy no token, etc. Just give thanks for life. That's all you got to do. Give thanks for life. You're living next year and next year. And don't, you know, if you don't have it, don't force it. Don't try to go spend, and you don't have it. Don't give your neighbor house pretty up and look good and etc. You know in your heart you do not have it. Don't go try to do nothing to compete, as I said. If you know you ain't got no money to buy enough paint your house to make it look good this year, next year is another year. Do not watch people for what they have. You know what you got? Give thanks. And I'm putting it into a lot of people who are listening to me around the world. If you do not have it, give thanks you have life. Next year you buy a lot of tickets, you win $1 million. Give thanks still. So I think right now with a lot of watchy, who gonna this and who gonna that, this is not the year for that. This is not the year for competing. If you don't have it, you don't have it. Don't go try hang your hat high. You know you can't reach it, and next year, you don't know what's going to come. You have a little bills there, try to pay your bills and go, don't try add on nothing. That's what I'm doing. I got a little bills, I'm just trying to pay my bills, me adding on nothing to budget, to kill my budget. And I still have more bills to pay. That makes sense? Mm-hmm. You're just putting yourself on a hill where you can't climb in the future. And you can take a lot out of you. Because you're still trying to get other things additional to what you own. So you can add on. I don't think that makes sense right now in these times. Try to save a little thing, pay for your pay for the year, and just give thanks. 2021 coming in, you start all over again. I appreciate your topic. May want to stay along. Somebody want to call in. Have a nice weekend. Pick up the whole of WinFM family. Blessed.
Thank you, caller, for your input right here on Voices, WinFM 98.9. For those of you who are just tuning in, the numbers to call are 662-0989, 762-0989, and 466-0989. We have just 5 more minutes left as we wrap up and prepare for the 12 o'clock news. We will return at 12:30 for the second segment of Voices. We have a call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hello.
Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning. Amen to the caller.
Thank you, caller, for your input here in Voices. We are just taking one more call as we break at 12 for the news. Very good input by the caller. I think he said something that we have another call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hi, good morning, Mr. Cornelius.
Good morning.
How are you today, sir?
I'm doing fine, and you?
Yeah. I just wish to say that I want to apologize for my previous input that, according to feedback I've gotten, it seems that it was actually porous on the receiving end. I made a concerted effort to purchase another phone that I might deem much more appropriate in terms of clarity in terms of what I have to contribute to the program. I listened earlier to the topic you raised, and because of time constraints, I was probably weighing or think of some other issues that I would wish to contribute to in the second after the news. But I just want to call in and say that my apologies. I've gotten some feedback from one or two persons, and one of them Mrs. Henry, Queen Mother Henry. And yes, my objective really is to assist. She did, Mrs. Henry did disclose that I'm a type of community-oriented person, and I was instrumental in former representative for East Bastia Constituency 1, Ian Patrice Liebert, Ambassador Liebert. And yes, but so my initiative is not just one side track one way. It's encompassing. It's not just about certain things that I would have done and continue to do for the community, but also in terms of my verbal expression, my contribution in terms of what I have done, research, and from experience, to impart certain information, knowledge to the listening public. Yeah, I think it's an in the diaspora. And so that's basically what I wish to say for now. I know that having to say things, if I can use the proverbial parable that was spoken by the Messiah in the Bible, which says that when one speaks, it's like a farmer who go and sow seed. It's not all of the seed will fall on good fertile land. Like I think we are known as Limegua, fertile land, yes. But seeds will fall elsewhere on the wayside. They might even fall on concrete. So nothing would be expected much of seeds falling on concrete to germinate. Be that as it may, whatever little fertile soil there might be, and seeds might fall there, we would hope that they will germinate and sprout and be fruitful, and we can see we grew up with fruit trees all around us, where we were able to, we citizens were able to eat a mango and two in time and season as those fruits will become available. So that's what I wish to say. I'm not no prophet by any stretch of the imagination, but all human beings, I think, have the potential to lend to, the contribution of their society, their communities, their nation, and the world at large. So that's just my take on when I do make a contribution. Not to erode on anyone's faith base or anything like that, but just to disclose information. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, caller, for your input here on WinFM's Voices with your host, Devon Cornelius. We will now break at 12 o'clock for the news, and we will return at 12:30 for the second segment. Thank you guys so much for listening.
You found the sound. 98.9 Win FM.
We now bring you the WinFM Headline News. The WinFM Headline News is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, KDP Enterprises, The Grange, Carib Brewery, CNC Trading.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world. Whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous, you can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air. We get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises, telephone number 466-9595.
Tis the season to save with the Lead One and Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Purchasing a new car this Christmas? Save up to 65% off. Yes, that's 65% off your motor insurance premiums. Switch and save up to an additional 30% discount on your premiums. Visit us at Liverpool Road, Bastier St. Kitts or Hunkins Drive, Nevis. Call 465-2631 or 469-5303. Promotion ends December 31st. Quotations valid until January 15th. Terms and conditions apply. 'Tis the season to save up to 65% off.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Without limits, happy and free. The skin you're in with no apology. The one to seize the day. Grab an LLB. Live, love, be. With LLB. Live, love, be. Live, love, be. Be who you know you can be. Grab an LLB. Live, love, be. Angostura, lemon, lime, and bitters. Live, love, be.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts, offering 24-hour nursing, therapeutic and residential care for older adults? It's situated at Otley, 7 miles east of Vastair in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodation to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020, fax 466-8221, or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com, or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
The Newcastle Police Station and Fire Unit, constructed at a cost of just more than $5.5 million EC, was officially opened in Nevis following the commissioning ceremony on Thursday, December 3rd, 2020 at 10 a.m. The federal government contributed $2 million EC, and a loan was acquired from the First Caribbean International Bank of $2.6 million EC. The loan helped the Nevis Island administration to contribute $3.5 million EC. A new building was constructed due to the deplorable conditions of the previous structure that was closed in November 2016. Premier of Nevis, the Honorable Mark Brantley, in his remarks at the ceremony held on the grounds of the new facility, said the government is committed to the safety and security of the people of Nevis. He said this building represents tangible evidence of the commitment of this government to the security forces and the safety and security for all the people of the island of Nevis. Recognize that this is an investment that has been made for the future safety and security for all the people of Nevis and the wider federation, and let us recognize the effort that went into producing this, he said. Prime Minister and Minister of National Security Dr. Timothy Harris, in his address at the ceremony, said the health and safety of our security forces, and in this case our law enforcement officers as well as our fire officers, had been recognized and continue to be recognized as an essentially important factor in our crime mitigation and prevention strategies. Also in attendance were Her Honor Hailita Liburd, Deputy Governor General, Cabinet Ministers of the Nevis Island Administration, Hilroy Brandy, Commissioner of the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force, Everett Ogaro, Chief Fire Officer of the St. Kitts and Nevis Fire and Rescue Services, as well as senior officials from the federal government. The blessing of the building was done by Reverend Conrad Erickson Cumberbatch, chaplain of the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force and the St. Kitts and Nevis Fire and Rescue Services. The St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party SKNLP candidate for constituency number 8, Dr. Terence Jew, has filed private criminal charges against his political rival and winner of that constituency in the June 5th general election, Minister of Social Development Eugene Hamilton, the deputy leader of the People's Action Movement. According to a press release from the SKNLP, Dr. Drew filed private criminal charges on Monday, November 30th, 2020, in the Magistrates Court. He reportedly accused Hamilton of the offences of treating and bribery during the campaign leading up to polling day. The SKNLP won 2 of the 11 seats in the June federal elections, but claims the elections were not free, fair, and free from fair. The CARICOM Election Observer Mission and local observers organized by the Christian Council and the Evangelical Association have reported that the elections were free and fair and represented the will of the electorate. Petitions filed by the SKNLP challenging the election results were withdrawn from the court for having technical flaws. Contacted for comment Friday morning, Hamilton told Wynne a statement on the matter would be issued shortly. The 4 of the 8 directors of the National Housing Corporation NHC have retired, according to a recent press release from the NHC. Leaving the NHC board are Valentine Lindsay, who served as chairman for the past 6 years, Candice Keynes Dickinson, who served as the secretary of the board of directors, and directors Natasha Daniel and Annette France. Directors Malvi James, Wayland Vaughn, Calvin Leader, and Marvin Edwards will remain on the NHC board. In the coming days, the Minister of Social Development, Mr. Eugene Hamilton, who has responsibility for NHC, will announce the appointment of a new chairman and the new directors of the board who will serve for the next 3 to 4 years, the release added.
Nothing about us without us. In other words, you can't go making decisions that affects us if you don't involve us in the decision making. Because we actually are the professionals when it comes to disability.
Tony Mills, former president of the St. Kitts Nevis Association of Persons with Disabilities, speaking on the need for consultation and inclusion in decision-making from legislation and policy-making to education and access to basic needs. Mills was at the time speaking on WIN's weekday show Voices, where the topic for discussion was the International Day for Persons with Disabilities, observed annually on December 3rd. The International Day of Disabled Persons was proclaimed in 1992 by the United Nations General Assembly and aims to promote the rights and well-being of persons with disabilities in all areas of society and development, to increase awareness of the situation of persons with disabilities in every aspect of political, social, economic, and cultural life as described by the United Nations. Minister in charge of Social Development and Gender Affairs Eugene Hamilton, in his address to commemorate the day, said that the government has heard the cries of the St. Kitts Nevis Association of Persons with Disabilities for inclusion and access.
The St. Kitts Nevis Association of Persons with Disabilities, or the SKNAPD, continues to fight for the rights of the disabled community through their outreach and awareness programs. The organization has outlined for my ministry the issues that need to be addressed, and I would like for members of the organization to know that we have heard your voices, and the ministry and the government of St. Kitts and Nevis is working to resolve these issues. the need for programs that target persons with disabilities, the need for national health insurance that would help to offset medical bills, and among other things, the need for better physical accessibility to buildings and public spaces are highest on the list of priorities.
However, Mills later in the show spoke at length on what access really means to the community of persons living with disabilities.
Most of the time when you say access, people automatically think of physical access, ramps, rails and elevators and stuff like that. But access really is more than that. There has to be greater access to information, because people with some disabilities need information to be disseminated in other formats than just print. Like a person who is deaf would need sign language interpretation on the news, because otherwise they wouldn't know what is being said as far as a news broadcast on the TV. Or Minister of Government or Prime Minister having an address on the TV and without sign language interpretation, those persons who need it does not have access to that information. So those are some of the things that we think that needs to be done. Our building codes also needs to be addressed and be revised, because what happens is that it takes the goodness of a company or a building owner to put in a ramp. If we speak to them and they put it in, if they out of the goodness of the heart, because there's no standard, there's nothing in the building codes that say that they must do. In the back of the building code, there's an appendix F, that speaks to those things, but it's optional.
Hamilton, in his address, further touched on access and inclusion on a more international level that would still affect our island federations through commerce and tourism.
I would therefore like to remind all public and private sector institutions that a differently abled person is a customer like anyone else. They too need to visit our offices, our banks, our supermarkets, stores, churches, restaurants, and our entertainment centers. The organization rightfully noted that the lack of accessibility not only affects our local disabled community, but our tourism industry as well. This is because without proper access to facilities, tourists who are themselves differently abled may have difficulty maneuvering around our beautiful Twin Island Federation. This could affect their choice of vacation destination, adversely affecting our tourism prospects.
Further still on a community level, Mills gave an example of a lack of inclusion in even building codes, disclosing that in building codes for the Federation, the inclusion of access for persons with disabilities is an option in the appendices, with an even more shocking revelation that even a church showed apprehension in including a ramp to access the sanctuary.
I was telling a guy a story at time about a church that was being built, and when I asked the pastor, you're going to put a ramp on that? And his answer was a question. He said, you're going to come? I said, yeah, if you put a ramp on it, I'll come. He said, but if we could lift you in. And I was like, no, because this one building I would not allow nobody to lift me into is a church, because it's supposed to be the single most accommodating building, because it's supposed to include everybody. And I find if you don't make your church inclusive, you're not, to me, this one is just my personal opinion. You're not really doing the Lord's work.
Conversely, Michelle Jacobs, a student support officer within the Ministry of Education, who previously worked as a teacher of special education and has been a sign language translator for the NEOC COVID-19 press briefings, focused on the misconceptions that people living with disabilities cannot function as a member of society.
Well, I know one big one is that persons feel that a person with a disability can't do anything. And I think also we see just the disability rather than the ability. We have some very intelligent persons out there with special needs, very intelligent. But nobody sees the intelligence because all they see is the disability.
Mills and Jacobs shared the same sentiment in highlighting the fact that disabilities do not discriminate and can happen at any time to anyone.
There's no ethnic group or social group that does not include at least one person with a disability. So you find wherever you look, there's people with disability. We account for like 10 to 15% of the population of St. Kitts and Nevis and about 20% of the world's population.
Some persons are born with the disability, yes, depending on the nature of the disability. You can have it from birth. Some persons, they get it early in life, midlife, late in life. So a disability can come on at...
Small hotel properties are feeling the financial crunch of the pandemic-induced recession and reduction in travel and tourism. Although COVID-19 certification is limited, the demand for local vacation options are growing. Now some small to medium-sized properties are stepping up to the plate to fill the void. This report from HTS St. Lucia.
While larger resorts were able to make provisions quickly to accommodate COVID-19 protocols, small to medium-sized properties had to make tough calls to keep their heads above water. Executive Director Bay Gardens, Sanovnik Destang, emphasizes the economic drawbacks faced by smaller accommodation providers.
The first thing that we thought about was what impact it would have on our staff. Obviously the business, but also our staff as well. Pre-COVID, we had about 320 employees. At present, due to the economic requirements and the need to make some tough decisions, we are at about 200. So we have been able to retain about 2/3 of our staff. And even some of the 100 plus who very unfortunately are no longer employed with us, we have been able to use some of them on a part-time basis as needed.
A clarion call was sounded for local access to hotels and villas following a Canaries resident's ordeal after booking a stay at a COVID-19 certified property only to find herself being hauled away to state quarantine. During a recent NEMAC meeting, Prime Minister Shastny addressed the call for local staycation options.
There are hotels that are not bringing in tourists internationally because, as I said to you before, they're not able to provide the environment that's conducive to that. So there are some of those hotels available. I'm sure that the Tourism Authority and as well as the Hotels Association after this will be able to give you some of the names of some of those facilities that people can take vacations. So even in opening up, when we were opening up and only had a handful of hotels, many of the other hotels were surviving by offering those services to locals.
But are those properties COVID-19 certified to ensure the safety of locals at small villas and inns?
I don't think they're COVID certified, but I would imagine that they would have understood what the protocols are. The COVID certification really was for when you were bringing in the foreigners and you want to be part of the bubble. But they do follow the normal protocols that are being established here. These are smaller, obviously, facilities. They're not the larger resorts type of properties.
With the festive season in full swing, the demand for staycation options has risen.
We're seeing the demand from persons for traditional hotels. And with that said, at Bay Gardens Marina Haven, we are actually open for the months of December and January to persons in the Caribbean bubble. And that includes persons who are coming here for the Ark this week and who will be here into January. So we will be open for them because they are part of the Caribbean bubble and are able to, they're basically like a part of our local population once because they would have completed their 14-day quarantine at sea. So they are part of it, and as are locals, and we actually have already had some local, not just inquiries, but persons who have stayed and dined with us. So staycation is back at Bay Gardens.
StLucia.org offers a complete breakdown of all the accommodations available on island, from luxury hotels to apartment rentals. Efforts were made to contact tourism officials to find a full list of staycation properties for locals and regional tourists within the bubble. However, this proved futile. Solange Alfred, HTS News Force.
Preparations are in high gear for the rollout of a vaccine when it is recommended for use by the Pan American Health Organization. ABS's Jessica Russell reports.
Information Minister Melfa Nicholas says work is being done to store a COVID-19 vaccine.
At the health facilities that would be at Barnacle Point in the former USA Force facility, two platforms are being built by the Public Works Division right now. to accommodate large coolers and chillers.
Pfizer and BioNTech's vaccine requires an ultra-cold environment, while Moderna's can be stored in a regular freezer. Oxford and AstraZeneca's option, on the other hand, can be stored at normal refrigeration temperatures.
We have not yet been advised by WHO what is the prescribed vaccine that would fall under the COVAX management facility. Notwithstanding, the facilities that have been put in place at Barnacle Point will be able to accommodate any of the options.
The minister says the country isn't expected to have a vaccine before the new year, but will be ready when the time comes. Jessica Russell, ABS News. Barbados Today reports that the removal of marijuana from the world list of dangerous drugs is being hailed as a step in the right direction by the Rastafarian community in Barbados.
It's Friday, December 4th, and it's time for your Barbados Today morning news update. The Rastafarian community and the founder of a drug addiction counseling service welcomes the removal of cannabis from the list of the world's most dangerous drugs. But the head of this island's anti-doping agency is warning all concerned to tread carefully in seeking to benefit from this latest development. A United Nations Commission recently voted to remove cannabis for medicinal purposes from a category of the world's most dangerous drugs, a decision that could clear the way for an expansion of marijuana research and medical use. Chairman of the National Anti-Doping Commission in Sports Medicine, Dr. Adrian Lord, acknowledges that the removal is consistent with the global trend towards legalization of cannabis. He, however, issued this caution.
I hope it doesn't send the wrong message to persons, because it can be a it can be a gay terminology. You start with it, marijuana, and then go on to harder drugs. You have to be careful that people don't get the wrong impression that marijuana is not dangerous at all.
Okay.
Because we've seen several people who have suffered from the effects of marijuana use. So it's not for everybody, and for all persons and any amount either. But from a sports perspective, you still need to be careful in the use of marijuana in competition, because it's still prohibited.
Founder of the Center for Counseling Addiction Support Alternatives, Orlando Jones, welcomed the declassification of cannabis.
I think it needed to be removed from that category as one of the most dangerous drugs. It was compared with things like heroin and cocaine and that sort of stuff. I don't really think that it really warrants that kind of category. So I do agree that it should be declassified in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
Because it's really not as dangerous as those other drugs, and the morphine and the heroin and the cocaine and those others. So the United Nations, in my view, have done the right thing.
President of the African Heritage Foundation, Paul Simbarok, told Barbados Today while the move is not ideal, it should open a space for more conversations for medical use. And prominent member of ICA, Ado Niger, he also welcomed the decision but expressed some reservations.
It is a welcome step, not the whole journey by any means. It's not the whole journey, but it is a welcome step, and any step in that direction is a good step. I think though that there's a lot that remains to be done, because really what we're seeing, not only locally but regionally, is a lot of one, step forward and 2 steps back kind of thing, Right. We need just to get serious with the issue and just deal and give the people the right. If they have come out and said that, yes, you have rights, don't put some of the blocks in the way of having these rights realized.
President Ali urges manufacturing sector to step up and expand their market in CARICOM.
Despite the impact of the global coronavirus pandemic on the international economy, Guyana's economic outlook because of oil production continues to be strong. President Irfaan Ali believes that businesses in the manufacturing sector must be bold and make investments as they prepare for growth in the local economy. Speaking at the awards ceremony last evening for the Guyana Manufacturing and Services Association, President Ali said the Guyanese economy is realigning and businesses must be prepared.
The engagement with CARICOM must be bold. It is time we break down the barriers to trade. It is time we stake our place, and whilst we have the capacity and will invest on food security, private sector needs to push hard on all the barriers that prevent our goods and services from entering a free market, a open market, a unified market in CARICOM.
The president said while there continues to be great focus on the oil and gas sector, other sectors will also see growth. He noted that there must be value added to all of the sectors, including the manufacturing one.
If we are to benefit from the opportunities that will come, we have to change our mode of doing business. We have to come together. You have to form consortiums. The family approach to business will fast disappear with the scale of opportunities that will come. And the only way we can benefit from the scale of opportunities that will come is if we understand that we have to work together. We have to work together to improve our competitiveness. We have to work together to improve our competitive strength. And we have to work together to increase our market share, not only in Guyana, but first of all in CARICOM and then beyond.
That was the WinFM Headline News, brought to you by KDP Enterprises, Caribbean Alliance, Carib Brewery, CNC Trading, The Grange.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects or sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts, offering 24-hour nursing, therapeutic, and residential care for older adults? It's situated at Otley, 7 miles east of Vastair in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodation to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020, fax 466-8221, or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com, or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Without limits, happy and free. The skin you're in with no apology. The one to seize the day. Grab an LLB. Live, love, be. With LLB. Live, love, be. Live, love, be. Be who you know you can be. Grab an LLB. Live, love, be. Angostura, lemon, lime, and bitters. Live, love, be.
Merry Christmas. 'Tis the season to save with Delayed Woman and Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Purchasing a new car this Christmas? Save up to 65% off. Yes, that's 65% off your motor insurance premiums. Switch and save up to an additional 30% discount on your premiums. Visit us at Liverpool Road, Bastier, St. Kitts, or Hunkins Drive, Nevis. Call 465-2631 or 469-5303. Promotion ends December 31st. Quotations valid until January 15th. Terms and conditions apply. 'Tis the season to save up to 65% off.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world. Whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous, you can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air. We get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises, telephone number 466-9595.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
Friday, December 18th and Saturday, December 19th are VAT days. But you can come today and get pre-approved credit for VAT Day. Save some of the hassle of this VAT Day and drop by some of your local Hosford department stores today. Yes! Come to any Hosford department today and get pre-approved credit for December 18th and December 19th. No down payment necessary. That's right, zero money down. And no payment until February 2021. That's right, no payment until February 2021. Come to Hosford's today, where we will be dropping major discount plus pre-approved credit when you shop now. How, you ask? Well, it's simple. All you have to do is visit any of the Hosford's departments, including furniture and appliances, Ashley Furniture Home Store, Building and Nevis Centers, and the Automotive Division. Make your VAT Day wish list, and we'll do the credit check. Come back on VAT Day and get all that you picked with your pre-approved credit and be on your way to a merrier Christmas. Whether it's new furniture, a new stove, or a brand new car, Hosford's is giving you pre-approved credit today. Be on your way to a merrier Christmas. Pre-approved credit today for VAT Days December 18th and December 19th at Hosford's. Visit stores for all details. 3 days for 3 days only. It's the Hosford's Building Center Massive 3-day weekend celebration. This Thursday, December 3rd to Saturday, December 5th. Get 30% off store-wide at the Hosford's Building Center on St. Kitts and Nevis. Come, let's celebrate with 30% off all discountable items at Hosford's Building and Nevis Centers for 3 days only. This Thursday, December 3rd to Saturday, December 5th. This is a 3-day weekend celebration that you just can't miss at Hosford's Building and Nevis Centers. This weekend, December 3rd to December 5th. See stores for details. Some restrictions apply.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Voices right here on 1FM 98.9. I am your host, Devon Cornelius. I hope everyone had a good lunch. I did. My lunch was fantastic. I hope you had a good lunch. So welcome back to Voices right here on 1FM. We are continuing our discussion for this afternoon. And this afternoon, the phone lines will be open for the rest of the program because I want to hear from you, the people. This morning was a bit quiet. I guess persons were just listening or probably thinking about what they should say or what they should call in and speak about. But this afternoon is more of a freestyle. This afternoon is open, so call us and share your views. I know we have our usual listeners. Thank you guys so much for being part of this program. Thank you so much for tuning in. And of course, we have the first time listeners. For the first time listeners, if you want to call in, the numbers to call are 662-0989. That's the flow. And then we have for Digicel 762-0989 and 466-0989. So it's 662-0989, and we have the 762, same number, and the 466, same ending number. Call us and share your views. So we are continuing our discussion for this afternoon, and we want to shift the discussion a bit from COVID-19. And even though it is always necessary to talk about what's really happening in our world with this whole pandemic, again, you shouldn't always talk about, the bad that's happening, for sake of your mental health. I believe if you continue to talk about COVID-19, it probably will drive you crazy. So talking about something else would definitely not drive you crazy. And again, COVID-19 is not the only thing that's happening. There are good things happening around us every day. People are making strides and people are doing wonderful things. And it is something that we have to talk about, something that we should emphasize upon. Now, I would want to shift the focus a little bit to young people and employment, and young people and opportunities that are being offered to our young people, particularly in the Caribbean and, of course, right here in our Twin Island Federation. For years and years, we have heard the cry of young people saying, well, I went off to university and I spent $150,000 US dollars or 150,000 EC dollars to get a degree, whether it be a master's degree or a bachelor's degree, in some cases a PhD. And I'm here, I'm back in the Federation, I'm back home, and I can't find a job. No one wants to hire me. And then those persons will say, well, if you can't find a job and nobody wants to hire you, go and do something on your own, which nothing is wrong with that, sorry. Because we do have some persons that believe that, well, this entity should hire everybody and that entity should hire everybody, which, in fact, we know it is not realistic. It is not realistic. I mean, if you go out there to get a degree in a particular area, that is not common in our federation. Maybe entering or maybe becoming, an entrepreneur, open your own business and start your own craft, maybe that would open up more opportunities for you rather than going to work for another business or working for the government or some other institution. But we often hear the cries of our young people that we leaving schools with all these subjects, we coming back with big degrees and small degrees and all kind of degrees, and we ain't finding a job. Nobody wants to hire us. I know of a few persons who they graduated from university in 2016, 15, 17, and to date, they are still at home in their mother and their father house. They can't find no work. Some have tried, some have really tried. Some go out, some look for jobs, some try to start their own thing, but sometimes it fails. But when you look at what's happening around us, it begs the question, why is he not succeeding? Why is he not being successful in what he's trying to do? But the fact of the matter, or the issue is that there are some young people that they really try their best. And they try to be different. And they try to make their country proud. But their country disappoints them. And their country chastises them when they try to be different. And when they try to stand up for what is right. And when they try to, again, just be different. Right here in St. Kitts and Nevis, we have some fantastic, outstanding, intelligent young people. And in their minds, they would want to embark upon a program, or a project rather, that is different from the usual things that take place here. But when certain individuals realize, this one too big, you might get too much attention, and everybody gonna talk about you, everybody gonna like you, they try to shut you up and shut you down. That's what they try to do. And I don't apologize for saying that. I don't apologize for saying that. I find that we have this culture that when we talk about certain things, the response that you get from the very people who listen to you and probably cheer you on from all the way in the back row, I don't think you should talk about that, I think you should talk about the normal stuff, Talk about the normal stuff and the normal things that everybody does talk about, I think you should go off and study to become an accountant or a lawyer. I know you like animals and you want to be, working in as a zoologist, but don't study that. Go and do something different, like what everybody else doing. We have a lot of creative young people down here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Of course, you have the delinquent ones who don't know what they're doing with their life and just don't want to do anything with their life. But what about those few who are hardworking? We'll take our first call for this afternoon. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the air.
Good afternoon, Yvonne. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, and you?
I just wake up.
I figured because I didn't hear you this morning.
And I heard the program and I was listening and then I dozed off.
So
I got up and then I heard you.
Sleep is good.
So
Sleep
I
is
said,
good.
let me go and do my national service. Don't make any sense. If you have something to contribute, contribute.
Right.
So good afternoon to all the listeners at home and abroad. Now, this issue of youth unemployment is not local,
Yeah, of course not.
I have been listening to the U.S. stations, and what even Trump has been saying, look, this 4-year degree thing, we should cut it out and encourage our young people to go into the trades, because there will always be work for tradesmen, masons, carpenters, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because I say you're investing in all of this money and you're out, and there is really, in terms of the structure of the economy. But instead, because they have options, the option is called teaching, which many graduates totally refuse to enter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, before there were more opportunities. When you graduate, you went to teach. And you taught until something else turned up.
Yeah.
I mean, there are many young people sitting down with degrees and many high schools in St. Kitts and Nevis that need specialist teachers Sometimes they have to bring in teachers
Yeah,
from
that's true.
abroad. I mean, to do, 'cause some of them would have even done A-level sciences, geography. Some of them actually go abroad and study it. But when they come back, they don't want to do it. So sometimes you ask them, I even have to ask one of mine at a time, have you thought about teaching? Not me. You must ask your friends them.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends who they're not
They're not
fond
gonna
of the teaching.
When they're balling, they're unemployed.
Yeah.
Well, they could afford, before time, your parents couldn't afford to feed you. So you came back, you had to go and work. And you work wherever work was. My mother used to say, find work before I find it for you. Because if I have to find work for you, whatever I found, you'll have to do it. But we are now much better off, so some parents actually paying the mortgage, the student loan, that's what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
If you knew, if you understood that this debt is yours, it's theirs, but as far as they're concerned, it's the parents' own. No, serious. I had a daughter went to university. She went twice. She went for her first degree, and then she did her master's. And with her first degree, I let it be known to her, darling, let me tell you, I went to university. So unlike some parents, I know they have some of them up there, 5, 6, 7, 8, going from faculty to faculty and won't come out the yard. So the development bank, when they give you the loan, they want to see the grades. They want to see the grades each semester, each term, to decide if they must release more funds. And I have no intention of paying for you, So when they were saying, and I'm saying don't partly because I was quite active, in UCCF, and so I said, when you see them, the Jamaicans, who used to get student grants, all kind of things they would get free from their country. Remember your development bank. And a lot of them, as I said, the government, even the private school, will be advertising for teachers.
Some of them just not
with
interested.
degrees. ICCS, they'll be advertising for teachers with degrees. All schools, I'm sure, need graduate teachers, teachers with degrees, because they're not really trained. So some of them need to understand and be rational. There's no work nowhere, Before time, you could have leave St. Kitts and run go St. Thomas, run go St. Martin. There's nowhere to run to. So they have got to be rational, and as they said, maybe we need more emphasis for some of them on going to technical college. Because they're the same ones who turn around and crying how the other Caribbean island people coming with the CVQ, the Caribbean vocational qualification, and getting all the best construction jobs. Because surprising, some people don't know. There are people working in construction who earn bank tellers, not just today. Don't even talk about government employees. Workmen, men mixing up concrete, earning more than them. And they have got to be flexible in the developed countries. People with even master's, PhD, you got to eat. So they work, waiters. You would have heard Mark Branch talk about what he was doing. The same students who working in, we call them snackets. You know what I mean?
Right.
Fast food. You think any of them would want to go down to KFC and Burger King and so? But abroad, you have to do it. So while the economy may not provide the kind of work they want, the young people have got to understand that they have to take what is available until what they want becomes available. And as you said, entrepreneurship is there. You have people who have not been to university running businesses, and you go and do a business degree, and you can't get work. That's a mindset, you know. That's a mindset. We have this. We have to be employed. What will it take for us to break that mentality? Oh, I come home and the government won't give me no work. Nobody won't give me no work. And sometimes their own parents have businesses, you know, which if they took the time to use their expertise and their training, they could first develop their parents' small shop, their parents' bakeries. You know, I always commend the Amories, you know. Before Ernest and his brother came back from abroad, I think it's the same Ernest one went to study baking. The father used to make bread, kind of from the old time days, right? Bread and coconut cake. You know, the usual coconut and so. And when the young man came back, he revolutionized the thing, you know. You start to find croissants, French bread. You understand what I'm talking about?
Right.
He changed the whole thing. Things that people used to hear about or see on television were now available. He didn't come back and say, well, I want a job. I went to study, so I come back and the government have to hire me. He went and revolutionized, and then the other one did business. And then they went into real estate. Well, the father started and they elaborated and grew the business. Talk about Tony Aberwitz. People know Tony. I know Tony from a child. He used to go to the same preschool as my son. His parents owned Ford Aberwitz. You do it in opposite Chinatown. A store owned by Indo. It's called Indo Carib Shop. His parents, Syrians or Lebanese, one of the two. They came from, wherever they came from, their country. And they started to sell small things, and then they were selling television, and he had to work in the place. He went away and studied, you know. He and his people studied. Came back and revolutionized his family business. Then when he got tired of that, he went into something else. I had to laugh, you know. He said, Mrs. Johnny, you know, he was catering, cooking at home and selling food to people. Now, how many of our young people with their degrees are willing to do that? Can't do that. Huh? So sometimes when I hear them, I say, honey, you know, I had my degree. I went to teachers' college. And I had my degree. And I had to teach and all, you know what I mean? So sometimes when the youth, while I understand what they're saying, they have got to be more progressive. What is wrong? I must comment, some of them are doing it, so not all. But there's some of them, as you say, who come home since March with $100 and something $1,000 worth of a student loan, and wouldn't do anything. Some of them feel something below them. So we need to take, because if the bigger countries, right now the issue is, should we write off the student loan or not? Some of them said no. They said, in fact, what they were saying in the U.S., only the degrees that are considered marketable. The rest, you know, in America you could study anything, eh? The color of your fingernail, all sorts of things. They're saying, look, we will have to classify these degrees and write off what is considered useful. And a warning to our young people, when you go out and you are studying, because I did it, when you are choosing what you want to study, even within your field, if you intend to come back and live here, choose carefully. It don't make no sense to come with a degree and people ask you, well, what can you do with that? What can you look in the easy way out. You pick up all the easy subjects that has no relevance in where you're coming. Sometimes don't you think it's no wonder you can't be hired? Before you go think about what it is I really want, get some ideas. I recall when I was doing my degree, I did an economics degree. Nothing hard, so. But in my final year, they have economics in everything. I said, look, saying this is this kind of economy. So I chose labor department, I chose labor economics, I chose agriculture economics, I chose, the maths thing compulsory. I did monetary economics, the central bank down there. You understand what I'm talking about? Now, granted, of course, I was much older because I had gone to university 10 years after I'd gone to college. So I was in my early 30s. So I tell people whenever you're choosing things, choose when you're going to study to make yourself marketable. There should be a market for what you're doing, unless innovative enough to create the market yourself.
Right.
All right then.
Yes, thank you so much for your input. We're going to take a short break and we will return.
Paint it, tile it, improve it. Your walls, paint it. Your floors, tile it. Your home, improve it. With huge savings at the Hosford's Building Center. Paint it, tile it, improve it. Sales event happening now. Yes. Come to Hosford's Building Center now and get savings of 25% off all paint and up to 75% off all tile. Yes. Nothing's gonna keep at Hosford's with up to 75% off piles of tiles in all styles and 25% off all paint. Come now and get a chance to win $500 shopping spree at Value Mart with the purchase of 5 gallons of paint or more. That's right. Buy 5 gallons or more of paint and you get a chance to win $500 in free groceries. Starting now until December 31st, 2020. It's your home. So paint it, tile it, improve it. At Hosford's Building and Nevis Center's year-end Paint It, Tile It, Improve It sale. Come now. Save big and simply paint it, tile it, and improve it. The event starts now and ends December 31st, 2020. Terms and conditions apply. See store for details.
Yes, good afternoon and welcome back to Voices right here on Win FM 98.9. I'm your host, Devon Cornelius. And we're talking about young people and employment opportunities and what our young people are doing in regards to, trying to make a living for themselves. And I think the caller before raised a very important point. We have a lot of young people coming back with degrees and, can't find a job, no one wants to hire, and they tried to, open their own business and start something for themselves. But there are some persons who are still unemployed. And one of the options could be going into teaching. If you come back with a degree in, let's just say accounting, and no one wants to hire you because they probably don't need an accountant at the time, you can go to teach someone to become an accountant. You can do accounting classes, accounts classes, and so. And so that is one of the options you can take to make a living for yourself and at the same time pay back for your degree. So yes, you have a lot of young people who are going off, they're coming back, and they are not getting employment where they would want it. And that is the reality. I mean, when you go off to get a degree or you go off to study something, it is not always guaranteed that when you come back, there will be a job waiting for you. Sometimes you have to create that job for yourself. Sometimes you have to create opportunities for yourself. And so it is not guaranteed because, look, oh, I went to school, so when I go back home, there's gonna be a job waiting for me. That is not always the case. Sometimes you come back and you're gonna have to do things for yourself. And you're gonna have to maybe start your own business or join a family business and revitalize that business and reshape that business. A very important point was made as well. You have persons around here who are running successful businesses and they have not been to university. Then you have those persons coming back with bachelor's and master's degree in business administration, and business and finance. And they are at home because they are waiting for a job. They're not going out there trying to look something for themselves. But it also creates room for the argument of persons coming back with their degrees, bachelor's or master's degree or even PhD, and they have to settle for, let me say, a mediocre job. And the job is not paying enough for them to pay off for their degree and still live comfortably. Meanwhile, someone else would have gotten the job, got the job because of their status and because of, whatever liking. And so you have some persons who, and it's a fair thing, it's a fair discussion that we should really have, because how do you tell someone who comes back with a degree in a master's degree or a bachelor's degree that, okay, look, well, we're going to can't pay you this amount of money. We're going to pay you $2,000 or $3,000 less. That's what we're going to do. We're going to pay you $3,000 or $2,000 less, and we want you to settle for that for now because we can't afford to pay you. But there's somebody else who ain't got no degree and you're paying them significantly more. So that is one of the arguments that the young people around here, they are passionate about it. But at the same time, I don't believe that we should a person should go to school and come back and just sit at home and say, well, job coming. We're going to sit at home and we're going to wait for a job and we ain't going to go to look for no work. But at the same time, you have those persons going out every day looking for a job, trying to do something for themselves, and they're being turned down. They are being turned down left, right, and center. They are being turned down left, right, and center. As I said before, there are young people around here that they really try their best to be different and try something different and try something new. But they support, whether it be from family, private sector, government, public sector, you name it, the support is not always there. The support is not always there. And it's not even just with youth and employment and unemployment. It's young people as a whole and the work that young people do. I feel at times the work that the young people do are not appreciated, and the work that they do are dubbed to be mediocre and childish. But we have another call. We lost that call. Call us back, caller right here on Voices Win FM 98.9. So we're talking about our young people and the work that our young people do. And everything you always hear this talk about young people being the future. The caller is back. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the air.
Good afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome.
To you. Yes, I'm here listening. That's good. I'm here listening to you. And what prompted me to call in is when you said that some persons come back with a degree and whatsoever and get work. If they do get work, it might be at a salary that, in their opinion, is not befitting with their qualification. And at the same time, there may be some persons in similar position and getting more money than them. But what I want to point out to you is that maybe the person who is getting that much money probably came about because of experience.
Right.
The time in which the person was in the job. And experience to me worth a lot.
It is, definitely.
So they have to be paid for it. But I understand what you're saying, and I'm encouraging our young people to come back home with their degrees and qualifications. Just look around. Look around until you can get a career path that you really desire. It doesn't make sense to sit at home getting nothing because you have a degree. Sometimes you have to humble yourself, As I remember, when I was going to college, I used to sweep the drain and all to make money to go to college. I ride my pedal bike from Sandy Point to Basti every day. Sometimes you have to make sacrifices not to get where you want to reach. That's my advice to the people. You have to sweep the drain to make a little money until you get what you want. You do it. Because you're making honest money. Thank you for listening, Mr.
Thank you for calling in and being a part of our program. This is Voices on 1FM 98.9. It is just 7 minutes past the hour of 1, and we are still taking your calls. We're talking about the work of our young people and the wonderful things that they continue to do, and they continue to make quite a significant contribution to the growth and the development of our economy and of our federation right here, St. Kitts and Nevis. But good point, caller. But again, it's not to say that, before I continue, we'll take this call. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the air.
Good day. I think too many folks look at our young people and criticize them for their choices when it's not entirely their fault. First, parents and teachers direct them to these choices. And we fill them up with these huge expectations, and we want them to come back and do what a high school dropout can do. That don't make sense, right? That's a waste. I feel it's a cop-out for those charged with providing opportunities, whether it's in terms of direct employment or creating the atmosphere for existing businesses to thrive and hire, or to create the right environment for entrepreneurship. Right? There's a mismatch, right? And if we have this many young people with degrees that they can't use, it has to be a mismatch in the economy. Okay, something went wrong. I don't think any education is wasted, but certainly if what I just said is the case in terms of the mismatch, maybe what we should have is, instead of a Ministry of Entertainment, we should have one of placement, which acts as a focal point to direct the unemployed or the underemployed people to opportunities. And these opportunities are not necessarily local. It could be regional or international. For a long time, for instance, I know that we were underrepresented at international organizations like the UN, World Bank, and those places. I am quite sure, for instance, that organizations exist who would like to hire well-qualified people from the developing countries, right? But I don't think, and you may say that the onus is on the young people to seek out these opportunities, but a lot of it depends on high-level intervention like a government insisting that they be represented in some international organization. In a lot of cases, there are a lot of backroom deals that we don't know about, high-level deals that we don't know about. Well, you do this if I do that, kind of thing, which can benefit our nationals being hired in these places. And there's nothing wrong in training for export either. Okay? If they can't find work here, at least go overseas and spread your wing. The whole world is your can be your base, so to speak. All right? And also there's nothing wrong in retraining either and adapting to the new economy, because the days of you being trained for one job and you're going to stay in that job for 30 plus years, I think those days are now over. I mean, you look at what has happened in the tourism industry, for instance. Jobs that were hitherto, you could depend on, right? Whether it's hotels, the range of hotel sector work, pilots, airline reps, and, the whole range just disappeared overnight. Okay, sure, they will come back, but it serves to tell us that we can't take anything for granted and that we must be able to adapt. And how do you adapt? If you have a high enough education to be able to retrain, go into something new, monitor the conditions and determine which is the best way to go, where is the best way to go. All those things are necessary, right? And I think we here are too lax in terms of everybody think entrepreneur, and then they go into the same business as the other person. So we have this glut of people, whether in terms of food, selling food or selling clothes. That's not going to help. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. You got to be innovative. You got to be.
Everyone wants to do
You got to be able to adapt.
Yeah,
Hello?
I get the what's happening is that everyone wants to do the same thing, and think that they're being different by starting their own business.
Yeah, it's almost like a fad. It's fashionable, when in fact the stats are against you. Most people who go into business actually fail. It's not an easy thing to go into business. Well, it's easy to get into business, but it's not an easy thing to make a success of it. And certainly not an easy thing to become a leader in that business. So while we should encourage it, should not give the impression that that is all that is needed. Okay? So there are other alternatives that we should look at. Certainly we should look at our training methods. This idea now that, well, you have to go away and spend that amount of money to get a bachelor's or a master's, that's not true anymore. You can, there are so many online things that you can do.
Right. That's
right from home, Okay? Of course, nothing really replaces a campus experience, But if you can't have that, if money is actually tight and you want value for your money, do your stuff online.
Online, yeah.
Okay? Yeah.
I know a few persons who have done or who did their studies online, and you wouldn't even believe that they did it online, because some persons are of the opinion that doing a study online is not sufficient, or of course it'll be a different experience, versus
you have to be more disciplined if you're doing something online.
Yeah, because you'll be at home and there will be distraction.
You have to juggle, yes, and you have to juggle your time and that sort of thing. So it's not as easy as people think.
Right.
And by the way, anybody who has done a degree will tell you that the degree in itself doesn't make you an expert in anything. What it does is give you confidence that you can do stuff.
Right.
Okay?
Definitely.
Right? Of course, there are some that doesn't apply to everybody. I mean, there are some professional degrees like for instance, let's say in medicine or some high engineering, some highly technical that requires highly technical skill. That you really need all those years to be studying, okay? But there are others that you do it and half the things that you did at university you don't ever use again, okay? But it gives you the confidence that you can do things, you can adapt, you can adjust, okay? And you can definitely attain a particular level that makes you functional in a really sophisticated world. Okay then.
Thank you, caller, for your input here on FM 98.9 Voices. It is now 16 minutes past the hour of 1. We are still taking your calls. If we have no calls, we will just acknowledge our sponsors at this time and we will return. Taking a short break to say thank you to our sponsors, and we will return for a second for more calls.
It's official! Friday, December 18th and Saturday, December 19th are VAT days. But you can come today and get pre-approved credit for VAT Day. Save some of the hassle of this VAT Day and drop by some of your local Hosford department stores today. Yes! Come to any Hosford department today and get pre-approved credit for December 18th and December 19th. No down payment necessary. That's right, zero money down. And no payment until February 2021. That's right, no payment until February 2021. Come to Hosford's today, where we will be dropping major discounts plus pre-approved credit when you shop now. How, you ask? Well, it's simple. All you have to do is visit any of the Hosford's departments, including furniture and appliances, Ashley Furniture Home Store, Building and Nevis Centers, and the Automotive Division. Make your VAT Day wish list, and we'll do the credit check. Come back on VAT Day and get all that you picked with your pre-approved credit and be on your way to a merrier Christmas. Whether it's new furniture, a new stove, or a brand new car, Hosford's is giving you pre-approved credit today. Be on your way to a merrier Christmas. Pre-approved credit today for VAT Days December 18th and December 19th at Hosford's. Visit stores for all details. 3 days for 3 days only. It's the Hosford's Building Center Massive 3-day weekend celebration. This Thursday, December 3rd to Saturday, December 5th. Get 30% off store-wide at the Hosford's Building Center on St. Kitts and Nevis. Come, let's celebrate with 30% off all discountable items at Hosford's Building and Nevis Centers for 3 days only. This Thursday, December 3rd to Saturday, December 5th. This is a 3-day weekend celebration that you just can't miss at Hosford's Building and Nevis Centers. This weekend, December 3rd to December 5th. See stores for details. Some restrictions apply.
Okay, good afternoon to Chantal Brooks of the Children's Home here in St. Kitts. Welcome to this program right here on FM 98.9 Voices.
Good afternoon.
And how are you this afternoon?
I'm doing quite fine.
Awesome. Good. So you're here to speak about some of the activities that are happening at the Children's Home. I will allow for you to go right into doing so.
Okay, well, we're having a special fundraiser, a bingo night on the 12th of December at the Marriott. It's going to be $20 US per game book, that's 54 EC, and we're going to have 6 games. From game 1 to 5, it's going to be $150 US. And then the jackpot is going to be a laptop that's valued at US $750. All right. It starts at, registration actually begins at 7 p.m. and the official game starts at 8 p.m. So we're going to have limited seatings due to COVID protocols. and all are required to wear masks during the game as well.
Right. So for those persons who would want to sign up earlier, can they do so, or you would have to sign up on site?
They will have to sign up on site. Registration, that's why we have it starting early at 7 p.m. so everybody could be there and get the game started on time.
Right. And is this part of a week of celebration or a week of activities that the children's home is doing, or you guys just decided to do this activity?
Well, we didn't get to do our walk run this year. Hopefully we'll get to do it early next year, but we decided to try and do a new event and see how that goes.
Right. And how has it been? Well, you did mention that you guys were unable to carry out your health walk, that is right?
Yes.
The health walk this year, and I suspect, because of the COVID-19 and all of that. But how has it been trying to do activities during these COVID-19 times, and what do you anticipate for the upcoming fundraiser on the 12th of December?
Okay, it's been kind of in between difficult trying to figure out what we can do to raise funds for the homes and so forth. However, I anticipate that a lot will have a good turnout for the bingo, and it will help with the fundraising process.
Awesome. Well, as I said before, I was just saying earlier in the program, these are challenging times with the COVID-19, and so I can only assume that there are a number of persons out there who are looking forward for a little fun, a little excitement. So I would use this opportunity to encourage persons to go on out. For those persons who just tuned in and probably did not hear, could you just repeat what the activities are that you guys will be doing? I think you have an activity happening on the 12th, but could you just repeat for the sake of those persons who just tuned in?
Okay, no problem. For the persons who just tuned in, we're having a special fundraiser, which is a bingo night at St. Kitts Marriott Resort and the Royal Beach Casino. It's going to be in the Sabre Room on the 12th of December. Registration is going to begin at 7 p.m. and the official game is going to start at 8 p.m. The game books are US $20, which is 54 EC, and we're going to have 6 games. Game 1 to 5 is a gift prize of US $150, and the jackpot is a laptop valued at US $750.
Awesome. So, guys, this was Chantel Brooks of the Children's Home right here in St. Kitts, and they will be doing a fundraiser activity on December 12th at the Royal Beach Casino.
I think it's Marriott.
At the Marriott. Awesome. So, yes, I'm encouraging everyone to go on out and participate in this activity. Ms. Brooks did say that you have that opportunity to sign up on site and be early because they have limited seating capacity. And of course, follow the COVID-19 protocols of your face mask, wearing your face mask, and I'm sure you guys would have the hand sanitizers and all of that in place. So yes, I'm encouraging persons to go out and support this initiative by the St. Kitts Children's Home in St. Kitts. Thank you so much, Miss Brooks, for being here on our program.
No problem.
So that was Chantel Brooks of the Children's Home right here in St. Kitts, and they will be doing a fundraiser activity on December 12th. We have just 5 minutes left before we end our program at 1:30. So I will just take one more call as we were talking about unemployment amongst our young people, and talking about the work that the young people continue to do in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Some persons like to. I find that we always find something bad to say about the young people. We ain't find nothing good to say about them. The caller made a very important point the other day. But young people going off to university, there are some parents that tell their children, look, well, I'm paying for this degree, you're studying this, and that is the case. You ain't got no choice. It's rubbish. In all my life, I never hear so much stupidness. There are some parents who tell you, look, you're going to have to study, you're studying law, and that's why I wanted to study because I was a lawyer. I was a doctor, so you're going to have to study to become a doctor. We'll take this last call. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the air.
Yes. Well, some parents live their life, their dreams to the children, That would account as for why. I remember when my daughter went to UWI first. She went Mona first. She said she wanted to do medicine. And when she came back at Christmas, she said, Mommy, I don't think I want the medicine, because I don't like the idea. You have to go and take out these cups out of the vat. You have them and whatnot. But darling, I did not send university to study for me,
Mm-hmm.
I went and I did what I wanted to do.
Right.
So you can go and do whatever it is you wanted to do. And she graduated with a double major in marine biology and I think was zoology. You understand?
Right, you see?
So she was free. Now, what I call about is to give the youth some idea. Sometimes one way of finding employment is to volunteer.
That is so true.
So look how you have all these radio stations. Maybe you want to go into journalism, you study, then you come back and you can't get no work. You begin to offer your services. You have all kind of clubs and whatever. Because what you're actually doing is gaining experience. There are many social groups that need your services who can't afford to pay you. They might give you a stipend. And though it may look, So for some of the youth out there, think about volunteering. Gain as much experience as you can.
But Miss Henry,
And,
some young people think volunteerism is a sin.
That is the mistake they made. That's the mistake they make, Because actually you get an apprenticeship. You want to be a lawyer, you come back, they have some lawyers working out there. You could to work along with them, but you see the business already struggling. So you can't go in India and demand whether I want 5,000 a month and the person might only be scraping 300. So I'm saying some of you young people, you did your psychology, and you hear we have all of these mental things, stress. The department is understaffed. Why not volunteer your services? So think about it. Some of your churches may need a good secretary. Some of them don't have no secretarial or no kind of organization structure. You could volunteer. No volunteer don't mean you don't get nothing. Some people may be able to give you a stipend. It may not equal to what you could get if you were hired. So think about it. You young, you go around small businesses that need your help. And a lot, what about the internet? Marketing. Why not go and learn how to do internet marketing? Have your own business done. And you spoke about something that I always tell people. There are so many parents out there need tutors for their children after school tutoring. It pays, because some people charge them $20 an hour. How many children can you tutor in a week? And then you have the young people in CFBC or the Navy Sixth Form who could do well with your help.
Mm-hmm.
Why not offer afternoon classes? People doing first year. I taught first year economics for years in St. Kitts and the certificate and thing. I was only getting $50 an hour in a university course. Classes big, some of them 30 and whatnot. But the point is this: You build up experience. So some of you who are not, who have not been employed as yet, think about creating your own afternoon academy. You know enough to teach anybody in CFBC. You know more than enough to teach anybody in a high school. You know, so I don't want to depress you by what I said first. I encourage you. Think, pray, ask God to give you an idea, because prayer will do you good. Pray, ask God for an idea. Look at other things, and another thing again that they called it before me said. We are part of the OECS, part of CARICOM, and especially if you went to UWI, you are entitled to seek work and work in CARICOM country.
Right.
So look beyond St. Kitts, look beyond Nevis. Look in the other countries, go online, look at the vacancies, go at the institutions. When I was working, they used to send around all the UN vacancies to the different offices. Go on the UN website. You might find something you could do. We have all kind of relationship now, diplomatic relations. We thought about going to one of them to teach English as a second language. So many things out there that you could do. All right then.
Thank you so much, caller, for your input here in Voices. We are going to end this program right here. No, thank you guys so much for being part of this program here on 1FM 98.9. It was Voices for Friday, December 4th, 2020. I was your host, Devon Cornelius. Continue to have a fantastic Friday. Have a wonderful weekend. Have a drink. Just one drink. Don't drink too much. So have one drink. It could be a little Coke or Sprite, or maybe some water, you know. Enjoy your weekend, and see you tomorrow.
Paint it, tile it, improve it. Your walls, paint it. Your floors, tile it. Your home, improve it. Huge savings at the Hosford's Building Center. Paint it, tile it, improve it. Sales event happening now. Yes. Come to Hosford's Building Center now and get savings of 25% off all paint and up to 75% off all tiles. Yes. Nothing's are gonna keep at Hosford's with up to 75% off piles of tiles in all styles and 25% off all paint. Come now and get a chance to win $500 shopping spree at Value Mart with the purchase of 5 gallons of paint or more. That's right. Buy 5 gallons or more of paint and you get a chance to win $500 in free groceries. Starting now until December 31st, 2020. It's your home. So paint it, tile it, improve it. At Hosford's Building and Nevis Centers year-end Paint It, Tile It, Improve It sale. Come now. Save big and simply paint it, tile it, and improve it. The event starts now and ends December 31st, 2020. Terms and conditions apply. See store for details.